Hello and welcome. I'm Al Barrows, and this is UFO Disclosure, the podcast that's meant to show an average person's reaction to all the UFO, UAP news from everywhere and anywhere. So today I'll be covering Anna Paulina Luna, the Congresswoman's post. She recently put up that the SCIF, or the Sensitive Compartmentalized Information Facility, that was so necessary during the UAP hearings for Grusch to give full testimony, has finally been allowed. So the whole UAP caucus, Luna, Tim Burchett, will be listening to Grusch's testimony along with the Inspector General. And I'll be covering that. I'll also be covering AARO's new annual report that has been long awaited. Within that, I'll be talking about orbs that have been seen all around the world. I'll also be talking about the Space Force that put out a comprehensive strategic document, and I'll be talking about their guidelines going forward. There's also been a ex-government official that was ahead of a little-known reverse engineering program similar to the 8SIP program. It was called OSAP. Dr. James Lukatsky had a recent interview with the famous Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp on their show Weaponized, and I'll be showing a bit of that and discussing what was revealed there. And there'll be much more to come. It'll be a great podcast. I'd like to start out with a post from Anna Paulina Luna. She posted recently that finally, they will be allowed to have a SCIF classified UAP briefing with Grusch. And if you recall, during the UAP hearings this past July the 27th, David Grusch, time and time again, referred to the fact that he would be happy to give details on his testimony, but only in a SCIF environment. And a SCIF environment is it's an acronym that actually means a sensitive, compartmented information facility. And Luna will be allowed to use the SCIF to hear David Grusch's testimony. This is a sign that the movement is growing in Congress. The whole UAP caucus will be allowed in the SCIF. And the Inspector General and the DOD members, Department of Defense, will talk about what they know, including Grusch. Tim Burchett posted here, and Tim Burchett says that a SCIF has been booked for members of Congress to meet with the Inspector General of the Department of Defense and the intelligence community to discuss UAPs in a classified setting. Dates for the meetings are as follows. DODIG will be on October the 26th, and that's the Department of Defense Inspector General. ICIG will be on November the 16th. That's a start, folks. I'd like to move on. Finally, AARO, the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, has come out with its annual report. It was long anticipated and delayed, and there really wasn't much to it, it turns out. So after some waiting, it appears that the official 2023 UAP report from AARO has come out, and this is the group that's headed by Sean Kirkpatrick, and recently came under the control of Kathleen Hicks, the U.S. Deputy Secretary of Defense. And she was very instrumental in getting out that new AARO website. Critically, there is zero mention of Grusch's allegations in the report, by the way, which is ironic. That's the biggest UAP news story that went down this year. And UAP, the AARO office has chosen to ignore that completely in their report. The scope of the report is clearly stated to be cases reported to the office between August the 31st, 2022 to April the 30th, 2023, which clearly and cleverly avoids the July the 27th UAP hearing and Grusch's testimony therein. So, as many have speculated, and in my opinion, this report turns out to be a big nothing. There's a slight mention to possible adversarial or foreign involvement, as stated by Kirkpatrick in an exclusive CNN interview. He says, quote, although none of these UAP reports have been positively attributed to foreign activities, these cases continue to be investigated. It just seems ridiculous that a department that has the staffing that they have and the resources that Arrow has, and given the time frame of a year, that this is the quantity of information that they produce. The report did include the fact that the most observed UFO or UAP are the orbs. And if you recall my past podcast, I mentioned that this was highlighted in their new Arrow website, that the majority of the UAPs that they have been studying are orbs. And this is a graphic showing a white or silver color orb. It's rounded or spherical in shape. Sometimes it's translucent. And according to the report and the website, these orbs fly between 20,000, just below 20,000 feet, which is just below commercial airplanes. No thermal exhaust on these orbs, and their velocities are between 0 to 15,000 miles per hour. And the orbs are usually anywhere between 1 to 4 meters or 3 to 13 feet. This is an orb that was captured in Mexico. It was obviously burnt out, but it was found on the ground. Same orbs that Sean Kirkpatrick is studying at Arrow. Their orbs been recorded left and right by people, and sometimes I catch them on X, on social media, and sometimes they're sent to me. Here's one that was videotaped over Colombia. That looks like a commercial airplane. There's the orb there.
En la TAM nos encanta ser parte de sus celebraciones. Por eso queremos felicitar a una princesa muy especial llamada Ana Sofía, quien se encuentra hoy cumpliendo años. Te deseamos muchas bendiciones y que seas muy feliz.
Okay. Here's another one. This is from Sarasota in Florida. It was taken at the Sarasota International Airport out there. Now, mind you, this one could be a balloon, but it seems to be moving intelligently. But just goes to show you that people are spotting these orbs all over the place. Now, I did mention in my previous podcast that there is a 360-degree camera orb out there. I just wanted to show that again because it does operate like the orbs, but it looks nothing like the orbs that we're seeing in the videos that I'm showing. And this is a very interesting drone concept with a 360-degree camera. Looks like a magical floating orb from a sci-fi movie, so that everyone is aware of it. But I doubt that it moves as quickly as the orbs that I've been showing in my videos here. And there have been instances where some of these orbs, I guess, were found. And I'm going to try and show some pictures. This is the Betz sphere. And this is a case of a man finding a silver sphere in the woods after a fire. He brought it home to put it on the mantelpiece as an interesting ornament to look at. And just after a short while, the house started to experience poltergeist activity. This activity scared the family, pets, and made life very uncomfortable, as you can imagine. And these objects have been filmed all over the world. They seem to have highly unusual abilities and behavior. Paranormal researchers are very interested in these orbs as well. This is a picture of some hikers with a drone right behind them. And there's a Patrick Jackson who's been studying these UFOs or orbs for years, for over 20 years. And he believes that it's a global defense network. Okay, so there have been orbs being filmed all over the world. And according to ARROW, the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, orbs are the most commonly viewed or detected UAP. This is an orb that seems to be observing an attack by Hamas on the Gaza border. I thought that, not to be insensitive, but I thought that this was just too real not to show.
هاي بوابته وقف غاد هاي بوابته وحش بيحنا وحش سنديلك روح ارمي روح على الصعيد روح على الطريق هادي عليا انزل روح انزل سيبني وقف
How are they still shooting and videotaping? I really don't understand how they can do that. There it is.
هاي بوابته وقف غاد هاي بوابته وحش بيحنا وحش سنديلك روح ارمي
I guess they have it on night vision at this point for some reason. There it is at the top of the power lines. So he's shooting and videotaping with his phone, I assume, at the same time. That's some dexterity, if you ask me. They were able to continue shooting and film that orb, but I just thought that was an incredible, very realistic video of one of the orbs. And obviously the orbs and whoever's behind that orb is observing the action that's going down in Gaza right now. So the United States Space Forces has come out with a strategic document that they just released. It's called the Space Forces Comprehensive Strategy Document, and it was just released. And I thought it was interesting to mention because they have three strategic goals. One of which is obvious: winning any war that in space that they're engaged in, setting guidelines, of course, and the last one that I thought was most interesting was working with allies to defeat any enemies in space. And that begs the question of what enemies in space. It's almost as though it's a soft disclosure as to the fact that there are extraterrestrials out there that we have to be leery of. Another thing that came up was an interview with Jeremy Corbell with a Dr. James Lakatsky. And I thought this was noteworthy because in it, Dr. Lakatsky says that the U.S. government definitely has UFOs and it's been back engineering them for years. Let's take a
Let's
quick
bring in a friend
listen.
of the show, investigative journalist, co-host of the Weaponized podcast with George Knapp, Jeremy Corbell. All right, Jeremy, that was quite an interview, definitely a bombshell. Dr. James Lakatsky had him on, says that there's UFOs in government possession, that they've seen the inside. Why should we believe this guy? Explain who he is.
Right. So I wouldn't classify Dr. Lakatsky as a whistleblower. Dr. Lakatsky is, for decades, been involved with the Defense Intelligence Agency, and he actually ran the UFO program that the world learned about in 2017. It was misreported. The $22 million went to a group called AWSAP, Advanced Aerospace Weapons System Applications Program, and Dr. Lakatsky ran that for the Defense Intelligence Agency. He's not speaking out of school here. Just like David Grusch, he submitted for these DOPSR requests, which are basically requests of what can I say about my work, and he's written a new book. And in that book, there was this bombshell, this atom bomb, and I was reading it, and I couldn't believe it. So George Knapp and I had him on the show because this is a rocket scientist who ran the UFO program for the United States for the Defense Intelligence Agency, and in that statement was three things. He said the U.S. government has a UFO in our possession. Already, that's amazing that he admitted that. Then he says, we have an exploitation program to reverse engineer it. And then third, we breached the hull of that craft. So all of this was outlined in like a simple statement. So we had him on, and he just straight admitted it because he could, because it was the legal process he went through to be able to admit that.
So like David Grusch, he had to get special permission from the government about what he could and could not say.
At least one, we know it's more than that, but at least one UFO. And they've been trying to reverse engineer it, and they were able to penetrate into the center of it. I mean, it's extraordinary. The way it's being treated is like the Flintstones to the Jetsons. People are like, back in the dinosaur days trying to whitewash this to the American public. If this is true, if what this rocket scientist who worked on the UFO program says is true, then everybody's got to keep the pace and move up.
Okay, so that was Jeremy Corbell talking to News Nation about his eye-opening interview that he had this week with James Lakatsky. They discussed that the U.S. had a non-human craft and that they were able to open it up and go inside, according to James Lakatsky. I thought that was pretty amazing. So James Lakatsky, current rocket scientist, was an ex-head of that AWSAP program, reverse engineering program. And he's writing a book, so that's probably the reason why he's doing this. Plus, he also got a green light from the Inspector General as to what he could and could not say. So my reaction to that is that, similar to Grusch, who also got green-lighted by the Inspector General, Mannheim, I think that it's a form of soft disclosure. The government, after 70-odd years of keeping the UFO phenomenon a secret, is conducting a soft disclosure. Personally, I'm looking forward to what might come out of the SCIF conference that Anna Paulina Luna has arranged with the Inspector General, and Grusch will be able to, within that sensitive, compartmentalized sensitive information facility, he'll be able to speak his mind and say the details that he wasn't able to give us during the UAP hearings. And I'm hoping that Tim Burchett and Congresswoman Luna will give us a taste of that. I hope the Hamas footage wasn't offensive to anybody. I'm hoping and praying that everybody's okay out there and that there'll be a peaceful solution soon to what's going out there, a diplomatic solution. But it's obvious that with that orb being out there, that there are others watching the action of what's going on there. I'm Al Barrows. This is UFO Disclosure. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. I have a website, ufo-disclosure.com. My Instagram is UFO Disclosure Podcast. And my Twitter is at UFO disclosure with an underscore. You can catch me on my YouTube channel, which is at UFO disclosure BR3YY. Again, all my love and good intentions go out to all, especially those in the Middle East. Keep safe and try for a peaceful solution. Keep looking up at the sky and keep hoping for more UFO disclosure. Thank you. Thank you for listening.